Hey, people of Woodburn, got an interesting one for you tonight about the water quality in that town. I've been around this town since the early 90s. I've seen it through its changes, good and bad. Back in the early 90s, I remember it like it was yesterday. The water quality was completely different. Like most places, things evolve, places change, we get fluoride in the system. Now, back then, in the shower stalls, in the toilet, in the sinks, it was all yellow. And the reason is because of hard water. That's perfectly normal. That hard water that's got all those minerals in it and sulfur turns like white surfaces, light surfaces that you can see, yellowish. The water in Woodburn 30 years ago was like that. And it was a given. That's just the way it was. Those minerals in that water and sulfur, there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people who live in rural areas that are on single wells have that type of water. It's got a sulfur smell to it. There's nothing wrong. I'll repeat myself. There's nothing wrong with hard water. Now, to say that that water back then from the 90s, well water, and the water now with added possible fluoride, what was better? Was it better back then or is it better now? That's the question. The other question is, what was going on here a few years ago in the city of Woodburn with the water quality? The reason I made this video, 4 of my friends that I grew up with in that town, perfectly healthy people, in our late 20s, early 30s now. They grew up and there was nothing wrong with them. Never had any medical complications whatsoever. They all contracted some type of cancer. Late 2017, mid 2018. And folks, this is before COVID. We don't even have to get into that conversation. This was before COVID. Luckily, they all somehow made it through. They went into remission, made a full recovery. They are fine. Some of them since now have kids, and they don't let their kids drink that water. But I remember 30 years ago, guys, I remember seeing the neighbor get them blue jugs and swivel them around and put them on the actual, I call them a commercial watering station. People have them in their homes all over in Woodburn. I wonder why. It's like they almost know better. Well, maybe a conspiracy, but since a long time ago, there has always been an interest in what is up with the water. Now, it has changed. We don't have that yellowing of inside water units or fixtures anymore. There's none of that anymore. The water tastes completely different. Some people complain of the taste. Some people complain of a fog when you pour it into a clear glass right out of the tap. Then it goes away after a few minutes. It's all different. It seems like in different sides of the town, it's completely different. Now, like I said, we didn't used to have these water treatment stations. There are 4 major ones in the city of Woodburn now. It's pretty excessive for the size of the town. I don't know if anybody remembers, but 30 years ago, way before they had the major city of Woodburn water tower, that never used to be there. There was an old one just to the south of it. It was about a third of that size. It was like an old galvanized tower. It had been there for a gazillion years. Think about the old infrastructure in that town. I'm not saying that there's something in the water that's being put there, maybe by mistake, but it is definitely changed. Maybe it's the old infrastructure. Maybe it's the pipes. Folks, you know that these pipes in this town are super old. That town is a railroad town. The only reason it's on the map is because of the train tracks coming through there. It is also completely based around agricultural. So we've got this old infrastructure and we've got these pipes. You also should know that these pipes do not get replaced. Mandatory, these pipes are only changed and updated and replaced when they break. Unless we're upsizing to get more water flow to the other side of town. A lot of infrastructure has come up in that town in the last 5 years. I don't know where that town's going, but they think they're going to the moon. Ever since Amazon moved in, watch out. It's not the same town as it used to be. We'll get into that in a separate video later this year. You better stay tuned for that one because it's interesting. There's a lot of things going on in that town that you have no clue about. I mean, completely oblivious. And that's the way they want it. Anyway, back to the water quality. It has been a big wonder for a long time. A lot of people way back wondered about it, and people now are starting to scratch their heads even after COVID. But I have a list of names here for people who are actually starting to reach out and share their experience with us about what's going on. A group of friends and I are actually kind of jumping in head first on this little mini investigation of what's going on. Later this year, after we get into the dry part of the year, we plan to do some water tests, pH different tests in the different sides of the town. And you know that the water is actually coming from different ends of the properties on each side of town. It's not piped in by one central place. Another thing to remember, folks, Woodburn has always been a farming community. I mean, from the get-go, that's that town's bread and butter, or it used to be. Maybe it's Amazon now. But can you imagine 40, 50 years ago, every farmer, every sodbuster in the county, they've got so much different agricultural life in that town. We've got hops, we've got tons of berries, we've got regular crops, corn, wheat, anything you can think of, beans. There's so much diversity as far as agricultural in that town on each end. It's amazing. Think about all the herbicides and pesticides that have been sprayed. You know the Pudding River? The Pudding River never used to look like it is now. The reason it's called the Pudding River is because you can't see to the bottom. It's completely muddy. It never used to be like that. Before farming, that looked like that clean, clear river back there that you could drink water out of right now. Years ago. I wouldn't drink out of it even if it was clean because of everything that's been sprayed in that valley. Something else to take into consideration, that town in that whole 97071, including Hubbard, Donald, some adjacent, Mount Angel starts going up and down a little bit, but it is completely flat. You know what happens on completely flat surfaces? We have no run. The water doesn't go anyplace. It soaks into the ground. So all the herbicides and pesticides that have been sprayed there, like I said, in the last 4 or 5 decades, they're still there. The stuff they used to use 30, 40 years ago was nasty stuff, but it still exists. Now, I'm not saying that something is getting put into the water currently, but I know for a fact that something was going on with the water quality just before COVID. Like I said, I want to grow this list. If you have any information or any comments or suspicious about anything, we would like to know. Reach out, send me an email, leave me a comment. We'll get back to this later this year after we do a few pH tests. We'll look and talk to some people. Hopefully grow the list to a few hundred. Please let us know. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.